Welcome back to Unaware Commentary, the place for Pokemon TCG battle narration that doesn't care about the stats.
Welcome back, trainers, to another exciting Pokemon TCG battle narration. We are catching up with our players here, looking at those opening hands, checking for a basic Pokemon to place in their active, setting out their 6 prize cards that they will not have access to till they start taking knockouts. We got our player 1 on the left with the Mega Charizard X mat, player 1 on the right with the Umbreon and Espeon mat. Starting a Team Rocket's Murkrow for our player 2 who is starting off the game. Has drawn a card, will attach a Team Rocket's energy to the active and pass the turn over to our player 1 who has started a Dreepy in the active. We'll see the attachment of a Psychic Energy, the playing of a Lily's Determination, shuffling the hand, and drawing up to 8 cards as no prize cards have been taken yet. This game, that Team Rocket's energy that's attached to the Team Rocket's Murkrow there will provide 2 energy of either Psychic or Dark type, as it is attached to a Team Rocket's Pokemon, a unique energy for that Team Rocket's archetype, as the player 2 has shuffled up and is looking at a fresh hand of 8 cards here. Looks like some Pokepads to help get set up, look for some Pokemon. We will see the playing of 2 Pokepads, item card that allows for the searching up of a non-rule box Pokemon, and it's placed into the hand, though it is likely that those Pokemon will find their way to the bench, a Dreepy and a Badoo, both finding their way to the bench here. Looking back at that hand, we already attached for turn, played our supporter. Is there any other way to get more Pokemon set up here? Do see a Night Stretcher, Fire Energy, Dragapult for next turn. Considering the playing of an Ultra Ball, I have to discard 2 resources here. It will be a Dragapult and a boss's orders. Those will be discarded to allow for the searching up of another Pokemon. I'm not too worried about discarding that Dragapult, as there is that Rescue Stretcher in the hand. We'll see the fetching up of a Torchic, showing that this particular variant of the Dragapult EX is going to be that Blaziken EX as its partner. We'll see a retreat with the discarding of that Psychic Energy and a Itchy Pollen into the Murkrow. Looks like the placing of the Badoo over on that player 2's side, just to indicate that those items cannot be used. We'll see the playing of a Team Rocket's Proton going into the deck, looking for 3 Rockets Pokemon after the placing of that Team Rocket's Factory Stadium card, allowing for the drawing of 2 cards after a Team Rocket's supporter card is played. Looks like we are looking for 3 basic Pokemon to be placed on the bench. It is going to be a Team Rocket's Articuno, Team Rocket's Murkrow, and a Team Rocket's Oregon. Those cards do go to the hand, but will find their way quickly to the bench. Looks like we're shuffling up here. Going to utilize the stadium to draw 2 cards as the Proton was played this turn. Looking at the hand, considering if we have another attack here, just going to be the attack of that Team Rocket's Murkrow, doing 30 damage and knocking out the Badoo on the player 1 side, taking 1 prize here. Promotion of the Dreepy, evolution of the Dragapult on the bench, utilization of that Recon Directive to look at the top 2 cards of the deck, put 1 into the hand, 1 in on the bottom of the deck. Couldn't quite see the selection there. There's going to be a Pokepad finding its way to the hand. That Torment attack from the Team Rocket's Murkrow typically would stop the utilization of an attack by the Pokemon that it hits. However, with the knockout taken, Itchy Pollen not going to be a problem from that Badoo, as that Pokemon is in the discard pile. We will see the playing of a Jamming Tower Stadium, turning off all items and bumping that Team Rocket's Factory off of the battlefield. Looks like our player, considering the utilization of Pokepad versus Rescue Stretcher, we will Rescue Stretcher out the Badoo, attach a Fire Energy, playing of the Pokepad to search for a Pokemon out of the deck. It looks like it is going to be another Dragapult. Luckily, going to find its way onto that active Pokemon for another Recon Directive. See if we can find another way to bolster up this hand, potentially on the Next turn, it looks like a rare candy and a rescue stretcher. Going to put that candy on the bottom, as there's a Torchic there, but not a Blaziken in the hand to be able to evolve into. We'll see the discarding of that fire energy, retreating into the Badoo. Likely just another Itchy Pollen here, only doing 10 damage, as that Murkrow is weak to lightning. Diverse weaknesses in the dark type variant of the Pokemon TCG. We'll see a draw for turn in the evolution into that Team Rocket's Honchkrow on the bench, and just a Torment for 30 damage, taking another knockout on that Badoo. Second prize being taken by our player 2 here. This looks like a Recon Directive, quick choice, didn't quite see it. Looks like the second, it was a boss's orders, potentially. So that was the draw for turns, another 3 cards in hand. Looked like the taking of a Shaman off of that second Recon Directive. Does look like we have the Unfair Stamp in hand. So boss off the Recon Directive, Unfair Stamp off of the draw. Unfair Stamp is able to be utilized right now because there was a knockout taken on the previous turn. Just like considering whether or not we want to play any other resources. Nope, just going to be the stamp. Both players will shuffle their hands into the deck with the player 1 who played the stamp drawing up to 5 cards, and our player 2 drawing only 2 cards. Unfair Stamp, a very popular A-Spec cards, those pink bordered cards that you can see there in the discard pile. Each deck is allowed to play 1. They are often central to deck's strategies and will have a large impact and influence on the game. Look at those 5 cards there. We see a Buddy Poffin. Fill the rest of the way up the bench. A Fire Energy. Looks like maybe an Ultra Ball deep in that hand. Yep, lots of resources to be able to go looking for more Pokemon. The Stadium card in the hand, not able to be played as or it could be played if we wanted to kind of change the location of our battle. It is a Risky Ruins. Oh no, did we play Jamming Tower this turn? Looks like we're just considering the playing of that Risky Ruins Stadium card here. Our player is able to replace his own stadium card as long as it is a different stadium and played on a different turn. So we will see that Risky Ruins Stadium card will put 2 damage counters on any non-dark type Pokemon that is placed onto the bench. So there are some non-dark type Pokemon in the Rocket's Honchkrow deck, as you can see with the Team Rocket's Articuno there on the bench, as well as the Porygon. But being that they're already on the bench, they are not as concerned about that Risky Ruins Stadium. We'll see the playing of a Buddy Poffin to go find 2 more Pokemon with 70 or less HP, and they'll find their way into the bench. So we do see a Torchic being selected, and considering what that second Pokemon may be here, it's going to be a Dreepy. It's also going to find its way onto the bench. Both of those will trigger the Risky Ruins Stadium, and 2 damage counters will find their way onto them as well. Considering whether or not we're going to be going back into the deck this turn, you see those damage counters finding their way onto those basics, potentially attaching an energy for turn. The Ultra Ball not going to be able to be utilized. Oh, that was not a Boss Sword deep in the hand. It was a Lily's Determination. Lily's Determination being utilized here, as we have not played our supporter for turn. Those cards earlier being drawn off of the Unfair Stamp. So great way to break parity on an Unfair Stamp. Play the strongest draw supporter in the game that is not dependent on your opponent's board state. Shuffle that hand in, draw 8 fresh cards, get straight back to work. Full hand here, a couple supporters, a couple of rare candies, a Droopy, lots of Dons in that hand. Able to go find some great resources next turn to try to catch up with the active prizes that are just being taken by our player 2 here. Considering what our options may be, going to bench another Dreepy that will trigger the Risky Ruins. Hope that those 2 damage counters are able to find their way there. Looks like Team Rocket's Petrol also in the hand, Boss's Orders in the hand, lots of supporter options. Looks like we may have missed those damage counters in the Dreepy. Hopefully our players are able to get those to where they need to be. We'll see the playing of the Team Rocket's Ariana, as there are only Team Rocket's Pokemon in play for our player 2. We draw up to a total of 8 cards in hand, 2 in hand previously. after the playing of the Ariana, so drawing 6 cards, evolving the active into a Team Rocket's Honchkrow, pitching a Team Rocket's Murkrow, unwavered by that Risky Ruin Stadium, as it is a Dark type Pokemon, so no damage counters needing to be placed there. Considering potentially our resources here, I'm not going to want to attach that Ignition Energy because the Ignition Energy is discarded at the end of turn. It does look like it's just going to be a Rocket's Feathers, discarding 2 Rocket supporters, that Archer and Petrol, finding their way to the discard pile, dealing 120 damage to that active Dracloak, taking the knockout, taking a prize, promotion of Dracloak. First Recon Directive, looks like putting a Buddy Poffin into the hand. Our player 1 looking at the options here for their supportive return, looking at considering maybe a Dawn that can go get a Dragapult, Dracloak, and maybe a Serendipity that to draw more cards. Not seeing in the deck, does look like that basic that's going to be taken is a Badoo, and we did not opt for Dragapult EX, so we can try to Recon Directive and maybe find our way there. We did find a Blaziken EX, so we can utilize that rare candy we saw in the hand. You can see the evolving of the undamaged Torchic on the bench with the rare candy into Blaziken EX, evolving of the Dracloak on the bench, or the Drippy on the bench with damage into Dracloak. Recon Directive number 1 here, looking at 2 cards, see a Psychic Energy, no energies in hand, so potentially helpful to try to power up a Dragapult EX this turn to start dealing damage. Or a Dragapult EX. Looks like we're going to take the Dragapult, placing it into the hand. Considering potentially playing some more cards before the utilization of a second Recon Directive here. Looking at the discard pile for the utilization of the Seething Spirit ability by the Blaziken EX, attaching a Fire Energy to the Drippy. Benching of Badoo, and a passing of the turn. No second energy attachment from hand, not able to find any more resources to be able to get an attack off. Draw for turn, attachment of a Team Rocket's energy to that benched Honchkrow, benching of a Team Rocket's Sneasel onto the bench. A Team Rocket's Ariana being played, still only Rocket's Pokemon in play, with like 3 cards in the hand, so we'll draw 5 cards off the top of the deck here, filling that hand up to 8, as our player 2 has kept his board loyal to having Team Rocket's Pokemon, the evolution of that benched Team Rocket's Murkrow into Team Rocket's Honchkrow. Looking at potentially what supporters are available to be discarded here. Looks like the discarding of a Proton and an Archer, dealing 120 damage to that active Dracloak, taking another knockout, taking 2 more prizes. Initial Recon Directive after the draw. Looks like a Psychic Energy making its way into the hand. Looks like a benching of the Monkey Dory. It's a Adrenaline ability. Should be able to get a Dark Energy onto him, able to utilize some of those damage counters there. Retreating the promoted Badoo with his free retreat. Utilization of Rare Candy, going into that Dragapult EX, the namesake attacker of the deck. Able to attack potentially with that Phantom Dive this turn, as we see the attachment of a Psychic Energy. Phantom Dive doing 200 damage and then spreading 6 damage counters out amongst the benched Pokemon. Crucial that the damage counters would not be able to go through being placed onto that Porygon should they onto the Porygon should be due to the Rocket's Articuno, should that be thought of as a target. Did see the placing of some of those Risky Ruins damage counters onto the Badoo and the Monkey Dory. Discussing making sure we're not missing any other Risky Ruins damage. I do think that active Dragapult should have 20 damage on it, but that's all okay. Maintaining the board state can be a little bit complicated when you have a lot of stadium triggers, a lot of Pokemon coming into play. Looks like we're checking the discard, as there are only so many Rocket supporters that can be played in the game, so potentially trying to see how safe this Dragapult in the active is. considering a supporter for turn. We haven't yet played one, considering if knocking out this active powered up Team Rocket's Honchkrow is the right play, as there is a second one powered up on the bench as well. With that energy on the Team Rocket's Honchkrow, potential to find another energy, which we can't see in that player 2's hands, bossing up the undamaged Team Rocket's Honchkrow that has an energy on it into the active Phantom Dive, dealing 200, placing all 6 damage counters on to the previously damaged Team Rocket's Honchkrow, putting it up to 8 damage counters. The promotion of Porygon to the active, suggesting potentially a Giovanni play this turn, or just a concern of maybe we're not going to get quite to the number of Rockets supporters necessary to take out the Dragapult EX, placing of Team Rocket's Factory onto the battlefield, bumping that Risky Ruins Stadium, playing of a Pokepad, searching up Porygon, Team Rocket's Porygon 2, then immediately evolving that Team Rocket's Porygon in the active into that Porygon 2. Dragapult EX with 320 HP, so big damage numbers we're trying to get to, but looks like we're going to try to go around him with the utilization of that Team Rocket's Giovanni, promoting the Team Rocket's Sneasel into the active, utilizing the Team Rocket's Factory to draw 2 cards. Team Rocket's Sneasel, a unique inclusion into this player's Rockets deck. We see the attachment of the Team Rocket's energy and 2 Team Rocket's transceivers being played and utilized to search up some more supporters. We'll see an Ariana being placed into the hand. Team Rocket Sneasel with its second attack, Strike the Sleeper. Attack does 20 damage to one of the opponent's benched Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon, so potentially eyeing up that Badoo, as well as trapping the Monkey Dory in the active. Interesting play here, trying to neutralize the attackers, or the available attackers on our player 1 side, as well as taking prize cards. We do see that attack go off, that Badoo get knocked out, prize card being taken, draw for the turn, and a quick recon directive, putting that Shaman back on the bottom of the deck. Couldn't quite see the card taken, but we know that Shaman is not going to be very helpful right now, considering utilizing Blaziken to get that energy onto the Monkey Dory through that Blaziken's ability, retreating off that fire energy, putting Dragapult back into the active, utilizing, we already used the recon directive. Must have drawn that other card, I must have misspoken. We are using quick recon directives in this game. Lots of cards coming in and out of the hand. But another quick recon directive there, indicating that that hasn't been utilized. Considering here potentially attaching dark energy on the Monkey Dory, as the previous energy attachment was completed by the Blaziken. So energy finding its way onto the Monkey Dory, utilizing boss's orders to pull up the Porygon 2, presuming that maybe there isn't enough supporters in the hand, so that the Team Rocket's Honchkrow would be the ideal attacker, and aiming to limit the second attacker of the deck in the Porygon 2, or potentially just trying to stick it in the active Porygon. Team Rocket's Porygon 2 doesn't have a very high retreat, but is still difficult to move around. Looks like we're moving of damage counters with Monkey Dory off of the Torchic onto the Sneasel. That 20 damage that was previously placed there by that Risky Ruins Stadium. Considering cards to play here, look like an Ultra Ball, discarding a Dawn and a Buddy Buddy Poffin. Considering what Pokemon to bring to the hand here, looks like then maybe that Shaman is going to find his way out of the deck and on to the bench. No worries about Risky Ruins, as we are in the Team Rocket's Factory. Utilization of Phantom Dive, the take a knockout on that Porygon 2, placing those 6 damage counters onto that benched Honchkrow that already had a damage on it. I'm going to take a knockout here, and taking 2 prizes, going down to 3. Promotion of the Team Rocket's Honchkrow into the active. Team Rocket's Transceiver being played to search up a support card. Potentially looking for a Giovanni for game, should there still be one in there. There he is. Team Rocket's Transceiver, great to be able to find these Team Rocket's supporters that can do so many things. We do see an energy in the hand, so we'll be able to boss up that Combuskin, promote the Team Rocket's Honchkrow, attach an Ignition Energy, discard 2 supporters, and take a knockout for that final prize. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.